Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Olivia and in this video I will talk about my relationship with classical music or my experience with classical music. But before I start, I would like to clarify some things. First, I don't play any instruments. Second, I haven't studied music. In fact, I know little about music. So, this video is about my experience listening to classical music. This is just me rambling about it, nothing professional really. Rambling is what I'm good at. And why am I making this video? Like at all. I was thinking about a topic for a video and after a peculiar line of thought that I won't explain to you, I finally came up with this idea. Then I realized it was very convenient for me. Why, you might ask? Well, because I'm a very shy and introverted person and there are two things I dislike the most when meeting new people. Talking about myself, particularly about my interests, because I'm very reserved, and showing my ignorance. I mean, making mistakes or saying something wrong. Perhaps you'll think that we all ignore things and that there's nothing wrong about it. And while that's true, I'll give you that. I still feel embarrassed and uneasy whenever I make a mistake in front of people I don't know. That's just how it is. However, I know it isn't right to feel that way. We all make mistakes. We're humans after all. I hope so. And I need to work on that. So this video is the perfect excuse for me to get used to this kind of shame. I'm going to be talking about something I like but don't understand, classical music. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? How did I get into classical music? I think this is a funny story. I may sound like a nerd to you, but it's thanks to Sherlock Holmes. Yes, you heard right. I was reading Sherlock Holmes. And you know, he's such a suave man, he has good manners, he's cultured, he's interesting and intelligent. He's a detective and he also plays the violin. He even owns a Stradivarius. Of course he has good taste in music, doesn't he? Well, there are times when he talks about some musicians. Actually, I know Sarasate and Paganini thanks to him. And while reading, I realized, hey, I never listened to classical music, do I? Although I don't know if it was called classical back then when Sherlock Holmes was published. Let me know in the comments if you know the answer. Anyway, I started searching classical music out of curiosity. Of course, we all recognize some of the melodies because they're everywhere. Movies, commercials, anime, and even memes nowadays. Like a normal human being, I was no exception. And I also knew some composers' names and looks. But I never willingly searched a piece and listened to it before, even though I've always loved Disney's Fantasia. And I didn't do it, not because I hated classical music, but because it just didn't occur to me, you know? Then Sherlock Holmes led me to listen to Chopin, Mendelssohn and Wagner. To be honest, I didn't enjoy Wagner's music as much. I mean, I don't dislike it. I like some of his pieces, but generally speaking, it's not my cup of tea. I failed you, Mr. Holmes, I'm so sorry. And eventually, I came across this beauty. I don't know how to read that. Sorry, I give up. The thing is, I loved it, and it was a point of no return for me. I now know that it's quite a mainstream one, but I can't help loving it to this day, so it doesn't matter to me. It makes me feel like I'm in heaven. In fact, if I go to heaven, or hell even, and I don't hear Bach's music anywhere, I'll be very disappointed. And that's how I got into classical music. After that, the problems began. I entered this amazing and wide world knowing little about it. And then I discovered there was much more than I had ever imagined. A large number of composers from different countries and times. For instance, we call it classical, to simplify it, I guess, but actually there were more periods. And not only that, but a piece can sound different depending on the performance. And even now, the more I find, the more I realize that I still don't know much. It's a bit overwhelming, you know? Frankly speaking, I often forget my favorite pieces' names. It's not helping that a lot of them have what I find intricate names with numbers and words I don't understand. I even forget the composers, because even if I like listening to them, I don't recognize their styles. So I can't really form an opinion on most of them. For example, I don't know what Holmes meant when he said this. Why does he find German music more introspective? Is that accurate? Let me know in the comments. And I can't say who's my favorite composer yet. There are times when I'm watching a movie or something and I hear a melody and I know I've heard it before, but I can't remember its name nor the composer. It's frustrating to say the least, honestly, and it happens to me quite frequently. At least I've recognized Lacrimosa watching Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I remembered it was Mozart's Lacrimosa. Probably because it's easier to remember than the rest. But that was like the exception until now. Kind of. Not really, I think improving a bit. So, I asked myself, is this a common thing? Do people go through this kind of experience and overcome it with years and years of exhaustive study? I still don't know the answer, and I don't have any musician friends to ask them, but I hope I'm right. I guess I just need to study more and be more patient. Either way, I still like classical music. I find it interesting, inspiring, and sometimes creepy or too intense. So I won't give up. I suppose I should use more of my free time to learn about it. Not because I feel forced to it, obviously not, but because I want to. I like reading about the composers' stories and fun facts. I really think it's a fascinating topic. I like learning about the instruments too. And evidently, I enjoy listening to classical music, and I would prefer not to struggle to find a piece I like when I want to hear it. And who knows, maybe one day I'll try to play an instrument. I've never been an artistic person, but possibly with discipline I can make it. So, thank you if you made it this far. Perhaps some people will think this video was pointless and absurd. I can't argue with that. But hopefully there will be some who find it interesting the least. But as I said before, this video's purpose was to get me out of my comfort zone, and I think it worked, at least to some extent. Finally, about my content, if you're wondering about that, it may be a bit random. Please keep in mind that the channel's called Olivia Rambling, because that's what I will do. I would like to talk about my favorite movies, books, etc. from now on. But it won't be about music, that's for sure. This is a special occasion. Anyway, many thanks for watching. I hope I can see you next time as well. Goodbye.